This is West Africa Weekly, a live series brought to you by Riglinks and Arvy Core 9, where we talk about oil and gas news, projects, and developments that you can sink your teeth into. Here are your hosts, Greg and Arvy. Hey there, Arvy.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Good. Where in the world are you these days?
All right, so I'm currently in Angola.
All right.
So, yeah.
We'll see if we'll let a couple more people join in here before we get started. Looks like I don't know if the connection on my side or the connection on your side, it may be a little broken up here, but we'll work through it.
Okay, maybe on my side, I think.
It's okay. All right. We'll go ahead and put the rundown up there. Welcome, Charlie. Hey, Alan from Brazil. Welcome to the show. Carlos, welcome everybody. Go ahead and welcome everyone here. So yeah, it's been a little while since we last spoke there, Arvy.
Yeah, it feels like forever. I think we've got so much to catch up on. I don't really know where to start.
Yeah, we'll have to. We certainly do have quite a bit to talk about. Seems like this list of MOUs just goes on and on. But so, like our typical show here, we'll talk about the oil prices just for a bit, and we'll talk about Nigeria and Morocco's MOUs, and a quick catch up on Recon Africa and their stuff in Namibia. Then Chariot's MOU in Morocco, and Nigeria and EG's MOU. So, yeah, there seems to be quite a bit of MOUs in there as well as Morocco in there.
Good. So we like Morocco, so we're happy to talk about Morocco all day, every day. So it's great.
I agree. Welcome to the show, everyone. All right. So for our oil prices, that is $63.07, 8 cents on the WTI. And for our Brent, it looks like 66.40. So a bit of ups and downs over this last week or so. Not a whole lot of change since the OPEC's last meeting. So I think it'll probably hang in there a little, maybe a couple of dollars higher, back down where it's at. But I don't see a whole lot of drastic change happening in it over the next week or so.
Yeah, I agree. I think we probably, let's see what happens in the COVID world of things, because I'm thinking that as soon as travel starts to resume, we'll definitely see a hike in the oil price as well. I think, especially in London, I think they're looking at flights and travel to be resumed by July, August time, like April. May, June, July is when they're looking at getting back to some sort of a normality from London. So I'm thinking that will definitely impact, as you know, the operational side of things for the oil and gas price. So let's see what happens.
Oh, it definitely impacts it. All the traveling that hasn't been taking place. Yeah, it's the other part about it is like the information that's in the consumer reports, and kind of like Ryan and I was talking last week how some of the stuff with the EIA reports seem to be not as strong as some of the other reports. So I guess it's all about what you're reading and what you're looking at and and what's the spin on it,
Sure, you're absolutely right.
Hey everyone, we've got so there's Brazil and EG, Algiers, Ecuador. Yeah, welcome to the show, everyone. All right, so our first one up here is going to be Nigeria and Morocco's MOU. So Nigeria and Morocco signed 5 memoranda of understanding with parties, including OCP Group, the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. The agreements will strengthen the bilateral relationship between the two countries and foster development in the areas of agriculture, hydrocarbons, and commerce. So, Arvy, what's your thoughts here on this one?
I think my thoughts are, I think it's really interesting how the emphasis is now over the last kind of couple of months at the beginning of the year has been in Morocco. And I think Morocco has always been a hotspot for the energy sector, especially with its largest solar field plant that was issued, kind of commissioned a couple of years back, about 2-3 years back. So I think it's interesting now how the rest of the African continent is looking at Morocco, it being well positioned in the north of Africa. And also, there's long-standing government relationships and trade relationships with Morocco as well. So I'm really I'm interested in seeing which MOU will be executed first, because definitely that will have a ricochet effect on what happens in country for Nigeria as well. So I think it's a great time for Nigeria and Morocco to start looking at business ties. But I guess for me on the operational side of things, I'm as I said before, I haven't given you a direct response just yet to answer this question because I'm yet a
No,
bit.
that's okay. I think it's an interesting take because they even have agriculture in there as well. So
Exactly. So it's interesting to see what phase of development will come first, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
yeah. Welcome, Barry from Madrid. Welcome to the show. Yeah, I agree. But what it shows that countries are willing to. Hey, we've got some people in here from Morocco. Fantastic. It's willing to show that the countries they want to work together to better each other. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Greg.
So this next one, Arvy, we've talked about Recon Africa quite a bit. I think we've talked about them twice. But Recon Africa, for anybody that's been keeping up with it, that's Reconnaissance Energy Africa. So this is their recent update on its drilling program in the Kavingo sedimentary basin in the Kalahari Desert of northeast Namibia. So there was a report that came out, and I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago, Arvy, that this basin was one of the largest, most unexplored basins in the world. And so, as previously announced on January 11th, the company commenced drilling operations on the first well of the initial 3-well program to evaluate potential hydrocarbon systems in one of the 5 major subbasins of the larger, more laterally extensive, deep Kavingo Basin. So, how do you see these guys progressing? We've talked a bit about them. So, seems they're working away there out in the middle of nowhere, and looks like they're expecting some huge returns. So, the world looks like they're kind of watching what they're doing. So
exactly, and I agree with you, Greg. And we spoke about this a couple of weeks back. And after a while we'd spoken, I did some research on Recon. And what's really interesting about them is they're quite at grassroots level, their operations. So what I mean by that is, if you have a look on their website, they're really encouraging by, I think it's like a local content and local workforce. On the operational side, including the drilling side of things. So I think what's really interesting is that they've taken their time to obviously capitalize and monopolize on the area that they're in. So I'll be really interested to see what happens for them for the end of the year. But we do know that they're making headway in country, and also I think that their in-country support is quite substantial. And I think a lot of that has got to do with the fact that they've got such a big local content quota for their workforce.
Yeah, sure, I agree with that. And they're in an area where there's not a lot of easy ways in and out either. So they're just out there roughing it, like back in the 50s.
Yeah, it's not an easy, it's a hardship location, that's for certain.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk about our next one here. This is Chariot. This is Chariot Oil and Gas assigned a MOU along with its partner, the Office National Hydrocarbons de Mines, with the Ministry of Industry, Trade, and Green and Digital Economy in Morocco. I like how they threw all that together. It makes it sound awesome. But the MOU relates to the ministry's support of Chariots and ONEM's Anchois gas development project as a potential provider of significant gas for the Moroccan gas market. So, Arvy, back at Morocco, seems there's some moves taking place, and like we chatted on the last show or the one before, looks like they're moving to a world stage with some of the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, and I also think what's really important for what I found with Morocco, especially, is the welcoming of the actual business framework agreements that they have in place. So they're very welcoming when it comes to the international stage of development, and especially for the energy sector. So I think that has also helped initiate the kind of workflow that enters Morocco as well. So the framework agreements, I know there's a couple of companies from London that looked at some LNG development a couple of years back. And when you're looking at domestic gas prospects in the region, it also helps if you've got a very strong local partner as well. So again, I'm very I'm all for what's happening in Morocco right now, and it's a shame. We usually go as a family to holiday there every year, so it's a shame I haven't been able to go there this year. But let's see what happens.
I mean, so that's Nigeria and Morocco, which are talking about agriculture, hydrocarbon, and commerce, and here is another one talking about digital oil and gas, gas development, as well as what else was in there? Trade and green economy. So looks like they're making a run completely across the stage there.
Yeah, and I think, as I said before, I think for the rest of the African continent, Morocco is strategically well positioned. It being in the north, their framework agreements being in good stead order. They're not new to energy. They have very good unilateral, bilateral trade agreements with a lot of countries. So I think this is going to be a really good big play for Chariot, especially to support the domestic gas commercialization anyway.
Well, what do you think about with especially kind of like what we're talking about here with the amount of MOUs that we have? Do we see the reluctance of some of, not say reluctance, but some of the international oil companies kind of pulling back from more international work and trying to focus on domestically? Do you see the opportunity to take like a Chariot Oil and Gas where they see it like this, and then the countries that they want to be in obviously are going to support development in their countries. But do you see these IOCs pulling back as an opportunity for these smaller, more regional companies?
I think with any large major IOC, it's always about overheads for them, and these guys, they're used to very large project focused base mentality, which is what I've seen here, especially in West Africa and in Angola. So when a small mid-tier company like Chariot and all these mid-tier companies come along, they're able to maneuver differently than, I suppose, the IOCs and the large super majors. They tend to have very small shareholdings. Their operational capacity is very small. They're able to disperse with finance at a very fast pace, and very I think nimble. There's something, absolutely, and I think there's something to be said about that. I think the bigger the giant, the super majors are fantastic at what they do, But when they look at projects like this, perhaps it doesn't fit their scope of work. Perhaps it's too small. Perhaps they're looking at a larger, further afield project. But I think there's always going to be appetite for small and mid-tier companies to pick up projects like this.
I want there to always be appetite for that.
Yeah, me too.
That's
I'm all for the small guy.
That's it. That's it. I am as well.
Good.
All right. This next one we'll go to is our this is Nigeria and EG signed an MOU for more hydrocarbon opportunities. So the Ministry of Mines and Hydrocarbon of EG met with the Minister of Petroleum Resources of Nigeria at the Presidential Palace in Malabo, intending to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. The meeting included a signing of an MOU, which will consolidate new opportunities for the hydrocarbon sector for both countries and allow the counterparts to collaborate on maritime piracy protection strategies, as security remains a major concern for energy infrastructure, with attacks reaching record highs in the Gulf of Guinea. So it looks like Nigeria has been busy over the last few weeks as well.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this conversation and this MOU is the fact that it's a perfect example of how Nigeria in the oil and gas sector is actually sharing its kind of experience globally with other new oil producing countries, especially on the piracy side of things and the offshore development. There's a lot of kind of technical know-how that's been conducted in Nigeria, which a lot of people, even from the consultancy perspective as well, a lot of people look at Nigeria and they see the framework agreements and models, and they want to adopt something very similar in their host countries, in their home countries. So I think it's a really good, as I stated before, I mean, I arrived in Nigeria about 2 months ago, and the kind of activity that I've seen so far is astronomical. The marginal bid fields going on, the LNG Train 7, Mr. Dangote's refinery. There's so much.
Yeah, there's a few things you just brought up right there. We're going to talk about next week if we can. I mean, especially especially the marginal fields there in the last bid, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It was good to see that many people involved with it. Good to see that many companies. So, but I mean, here they're talking about not only the hydrocarbon part of the business, but maritime security too, and that's not typically something that you see two countries talking about, especially just directly behind a hydrocarbon MOU. So there must be some ideas there between over border sharing, production pipelines, or there must be something else going on in the background that we just are not privy to right now.
I think you're absolutely right, Greg, and I think a lot of this has a lot to do with inward investment and attracting investment opportunities as well. I mean, when you're
it's hard to get investors whenever you can't get your rig out there and work. I mean, for sure.
Exactly, Greg. And safety is always number one, no matter what our schedule of work looks like. How are you going to attract the investment if you've got a piracy issue, or if you've got some sort of offshore issue going on and your people aren't safe? So I think there's a lot to be said with Nigeria sharing that kind of model and that insight as to how they've dealt with certain issues as well.
I agree 100%. If more than one or two of the countries, three of the countries, came together and created some kind of maritime security detail or something there, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be super. That would be really good.
All right. Well, let's see. We will go back through to see if we've got any questions or comments, Arvy. Okay. Greetings, everyone. We're just getting to the end of the show here. Look, there's some people from Kenya and Indonesia. Ali, apologize. We typically talk about Mozambique every show, but this seems to be the only show that we are not talking about Mozambique. So sorry about that, but we'll see what we can do about the next show.
Sure.
As well as the Egypt market, there's been quite a bit of media over the last week and a half come up about the Egyptian market. So we'll see what we can add in for next week. Let's see. We have some people in from Mexico, Pakistan, Peru. Yeah, I think that's all for the comments. So
wow, we've had quite a lot of people. We've had a good global presence today.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I mean, if you're just joining, so this is mine and Arvy's little take here. Hey, Guyana just popped in, so welcome to the show.
Great.
A big oil field down there. So yeah,
yeah.
So this is mine and Arvy's. We try to do one weekly, but if we're both traveling, and sometimes it falls off the map, but that's okay. When we catch back up, it's usually a pretty good session. But yeah, Arvy covers a lot of stuff in Africa. She's very talented contract specialist. So her take on some things in country is worth listening to. So, and me myself, I'm just a rig hand, and I mean that's and my take on it is from the rig side. Arvy's take on it is from the contract side. So we're more than happy to share a laugh and have a good time here. Cyprus is in the house. Yeah, hey, Paul, welcome. Paul and I used to work together years ago, so I say last year, but yeah,
really cool, fantastic.
All right.
So Greg, are you traveling? Are you going to be traveling around sometime soon, or?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I think I'm where I'm at here for another couple of weeks, but there may be a potential visit to Sri Lanka and maybe another round back by Cyprus before it's all over with. So we'll see.
Okay, very good. No worries. Okay,
but everything can change at a moment's notice. So
I know the feeling, Greg.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us this week. And thanks for everybody for visiting with us. And Arvy, we'll see if we can't catch up with you next week.
Absolutely, Greg. Look forward to it. Speak to you soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.
You've been watching West Africa Weekly, a live series brought to you by RigLinks and Arvy Kornahar. Your hosts have been Greg and Arvy. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglinks.com. Tune in next Thursday at 8 a.m. CST for another live episode.